But it's Mark Williams who has the first decent opportunity here, but the black, as you can see, up near bulk,
13.
that will cause Mark a problem. Of course, we're down to the one table setup now, so obviously a brand new cloth on both the bed and the cushion rails. But having been in the studio all afternoon, I felt that the speed of the table was a little slower than it has been over the last few days in the multi-table setup. Cushions were definitely slow, and that's not a bad thing for the players. They can control the cue ball better then. I think that may be end of break for Mark, unless he wants to risk the red
19.
that's just to the right of the pack of reds. He's looking at it, but he'll be bringing reds into play here. This needs to go in. Oh, well played. 2 for the price of 1. Not quite. Well,
20.
That's very handy for Mark, because if he can pot the black now, he's got nothing to do with the cue ball. He knows he'll be on his next red. I'm a little surprised Mark chose the blue in favour of the black, although saying that if he'd potted the black it
25.
would be tied up a little. Reds to the left and the right of the black spot would be blocking both corners. But just look at the position of the reds here. Mark has a great chance to take this opening frame.
26. $31. $32.
I think Mark Williams has been around long enough to know that his best chance of beating his great rival is to be aggressive and positive and take the match to him. Ronnie O'Sullivan is so hard to beat, especially if he gets a 1 or 2
38.
frame advantage right at the start of a match. From Mark Williams' perspective, this is on its way to being
39.
the perfect start.
$45.
Well, Ronnie had the first opportunity. Mr. Black into this
46.
right corner. In all honesty, looked extremely tight. Let's have a look at it. Oh no, it does go okay. It wasn't particularly tight, just put it to the near jaw.
$52.
Beautifully smooth half-century break.
53.
Can he get himself over the line in this opening frame and just send his fellow classmate of 92 a little message that he is absolutely up for it tonight?
$59.
So just this red and any colour required. A perfect start from Mark Williams' point
60.
of view. 59 ahead, 59 remaining, so this pink is all that Mark Williams requires.
$66.
Excellently done by the 3-time world champion. That one had a
67.
little bit of a wobble, but it dropped. And this is only the second frame that Ronnie O'Sullivan has conceded on this run to the semi-finals. Although remember, of course, he did have a walkover
73.
in the quarters against Ali Carter. Mark Williams giving the balls a bit of a thrash.
Mark Williams, 73.
Great break of 73. Technically the frame is over. O'Sullivan choosing to play on, as is his right, just to get a feel for the table.
Yes, because these conditions are alien to Ronnie. There's one table set up as no setting. Brand new cloth on bed and cushions. Well, I think you can say Mark Williams is enjoying himself, but that could be a mistake, because Ronnie O'Sullivan now is among the balls with a chance to make a little break and get a feel of the reaction of the ball on the cloth.
1.
He'll be assessing this table with every shot that he plays here. And it was a rather injudicious thing for Mark Williams to do, I feel.
7.
Well, if you remember, Dominic, I think you
8.
were working on the Scottish Open final when Ronnie O'Sullivan was taking on Mark Selby. And Ronnie, I think, did the same, either in the first or second frame. He came to the table requiring a huge number of snookers, but Selby played that first frame
14.
dead bat, even though he was over the line. He was quite happy to get involved with an exchange of snookers and safety,
15.
even though it was well over the line. So perhaps you think it was a mistake for Willow to come to the table and give the Reds a big lash.
I do, from a point of view that he left Ronnie right in amongst the balls. If he'd have got away with it and left things safe, wouldn't have been
21.
so bad. But Ronnie's playing a few sort of deep screw shots here and cueing the ball beautifully, just to see when he strikes the
23.
cue ball purely how much backspin he's getting. He's working out this cloth every time. For
26.
instance, there he's several inches short of being on the brown riser, so Ronnie will bear that in mind and assess the fact that the cushions are maybe on the slower side than normal.
$30. $35.
Well, the pink doesn't drop.
Ronnie
It will
O'Sullivan,
turn out to be a
35.
useful 2.5 minutes at the table for Ronnie O'Sullivan. But the first blood goes to Mark Williams,
Mark Williams, 6 and
who does
3.
indeed make absolutely certain that he has taken the opening frame. Good start by the Welshman.
So there we go. It's Wales against England in the snooker a week before Wales play England in the rugby, and well, that was interesting, wasn't it? Because Ronnie would have needed 3 snookers if he was going to try and win that frame, but that wasn't the intention. That was just to get out there and have a feel of it.
Yeah,
and
because
reduce the deficit.
Yeah, and also it's a new cloth. So Ronnie wanted to have a feel of the table and how it's playing. It'll play a little bit different than how it would have played yesterday. So I don't blame him for that at all. But what a start from Mark Williams. And he said that he's not going to beat him in the... He won't beat him in the break building department, but he certainly could beat him in the potting department, because this is one of Mark Williams' special. Have a look at this for a red. Absolutely beautiful. Screwed it in. Used the pack to bring the cue ball back up into the middle. OK, he kissed the blue, but he potted a lovely blue with the rest and went on to win a frame-winning break. And if he had any doubts before the match, Mark Williams, that would certainly give him a lot of confidence.
Some big, bold, brash shots there.
Yeah,
Turned into the big bash at one point, didn't it? We should remind everyone, by the way, that Ronnie hasn't played for, 48 hours, because his semi against Ali Carter was called off. Carter had to withdraw.
Yeah.
So, you know, it might take him a bit of time to get the feel of things.
Yeah, and that's why he probably wanted to have a little feel of the table, get the pace of the table as well. I was having a little chat with Mark Williams in the practice area, because he posted a picture of his pre-match meal. Now, we know how Ronnie is like, he runs and he watches what he eats. Mark Williams had sausage, eggs and chips covered in tomato sauce and 2 slices of bread and butter. That's his pre-match meal for tonight.
Sounds awful. I mean, what kind of pre-match meal is that? That's not an athlete's pre-match meal, is it?
No, it's not actually chicken and pasta, is it? You know,
not quite.
But, he's a one-off, Mark Williams. There's no doubt about it. But when he's on that table, I mean, what a tiger and what a competitive animal he is. And it just shows you there. I talked about his psychological approach to this week and the way he sort of approaches snooker now. And it's quite a good approach to have in his sort of mid-40s. He doesn't get too down about losing. He's just delighted to be playing and to be able to compete at the top of the game still at that age. Both players. It's just incredible.
Second frame.
Playing down his chances, hasn't he? All week, Mark Williams, and even going into this semi-final against Ronnie O'Sullivan. But he leads 1-0 and another slow break off the bottom cushion.
Great insight there from the 1997 champion of the world. The 3-time world champion warmed up with sausage, egg and chips. Well, I guess, Dominic, we shouldn't be too surprised because en route to his 3rd world title, he ended up going for a late-night kebab and didn't finish till about 3:30 because he was so hungry and so exhausted after his press conferences. And you know, he's such an open, honest, down-to-earth person. I think that's why people like him. There is something of the everyman in him. Likes a beer, likes a kebab, and loves playing snooker.
Mark very much is a family man these days. Married to Jo, about 400 children. And he just loves that family life. Snooker, I don't think, is as important to him these days. He tries to deflect some of the attention that's on him. Some of the things that he says in interviews, maybe that he's not practicing as much. Maybe he doesn't think he can play as well as somebody like Ronnie O'Sullivan these days. But believe me, he knows he can.
Well, that was a cracking long red to get himself in at the start of this 2nd frame. That little visit of 35 after Williams had secured frame 1 could well have been quite useful for the 4-time Welsh Open champion.
Another thing, Rob, worth mentioning, I think when Ronnie's intent on winning and wants to win and compete, he would do just that. You know, he'd pop those balls at the end of the frame and try and work out the way the table's playing. Sometimes when he's a little disinterested, he probably just conceded. He canned in a couple of reds there, but has one just run past the pink to be available in that right centre pocket? Just see it here moving forward. Has it gone far enough from Ronnie's point of view? No, it didn't appear to have gone far enough.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 13.
So a little unfortunate from Ronnie. Played a nice little cannon into the reds there. It was well controlled, but didn't quite land on anything. I'm just looking at a couple of reds actually in the middle of that cluster. They look very close to this left corner to me. Ah, they were. Now as Mark finished on a colour, I'll tell you something.
1.
He's very unlucky there. He was so close to being on the pink. Let's have a look at this. There's this plant that I was referring to. It was absolutely dead set. Now, at this stage, he could have been on pink or black. A couple of the reds just moved and, well, one by the cubal there, as you can see, is heavily blocked off the pink to left centre. And if Mark had been on that pink, could have easily been looking at 2-0. Now, is he going to take the risk of the blue? Awkward queuing, you can see. Oh, this red that's by his hand there, that could be the difference between potting this and missing it.
Mark Williams, 1.
He was unlucky not to be on the pink, as you said, Dominic. That was so close to being a great opener for this frame. But those are the margins.
Yeah, but Ronnie needs to do something with this, really, if he were to make a positional error or miss a pot. And Mark Williams could still extend his lead.
1.
Ronnie O'Sullivan needs to try to do to Mark what Mark did to him in that first frame and make a big break. Excellent break in that first frame from Mark of 73. That's always a frame winner. He just needs to try, if he can, to get onto the black.
5.
Now, in potting this red to right corner, it would mean the black is available into the same pocket. It's very awkward to get onto the black otherwise. It's a little bit of a risk for Ronnie to play for the black just now, because if he makes a mistake with it, he may not have a secondary colour, because the pink doesn't pot to the right centre, so he's not going to have an alternative, so he certainly doesn't need to bother with the black just yet. If he can play for that pink into the left centre, he should then be able to play on a choice of reds to get that black into play.
Six.
Question is the pink spot occupied? Personally, I don't think it is, but I don't think there'll be a lot in it. Oh, I can see the pink spot, it will go. And one is on his ideal red here. That little trio of reds just above the black, the top one of those, you can knock that in. I think he's got the angle
12.
to play for the black in the opposite corner.
Thirteen.
Dominic, what's your assessment of the walkover in the quarter-final for O'Sullivan? Because you can read that two
19.
ways. You could say that he's even fresher for tonight's match and the potential of the final, or do you think it would have interrupted his rhythm and it would have been better
20.
for him to have a match and sustain the momentum that he'd been generating midway through the week?
It's a tricky one to assess, really. I mean, matches only sort of best of 7, best of 9, and Ron is the fittest player on the tour in all likelihood, and so I don't think it would have fatigued him in any way. I think probably he'd have liked that extra
26.
match, purely because all his opponents and the other players that were left in the event had all played and he hadn't. But saying that, Mark coming into this match didn't have any particular advantage because we're down now to the one table setup and conditions are new for everybody here in the semi-finals.
27.
this is the perfect red for Ronnie to be on. He can easily play for the black now if he wishes.
33. 34.
Again, just that little shot there that Ronnie played will be a bit of a marker for him in terms of the speed of this top cushion, which is the most important cushion for any player to assess and note. Took a bit of a risk there, cannoning into other balls, but he does have red to the right centre.
41.
Ronnie needs to be careful here. He's getting near the winning line in this frame, but the balls are still out in the open. A mistake here could be costly, but that
42.
was beautifully cued. You can see he drew that cue ball back at least 2 feet with minimal effort. When you have a new cloth on the table bed, that's the sort of reaction you can expect out the ball.
49. 50. 57.
'Parity
58.
is restored by this fine visit to the table from Ronnie O'Sullivan. Well, last month we saw an absolutely phenomenal match
64.
between O'Sullivan and Higgins. Higgins, the third member of this triumvirate of excellence from 1992.
65.
There were 5 centuries in that Friday night match at the Masters. And the early signs are that these
72.
two old warriors are poised and ready
73.
for another epic battle all the way to the line. Superb from both players.
80. 81.
Well, we had a fantastic start to the other semi-finals today. Rates of 135
88.
and 52 at the beginning of that match by Jordan Brown.
90.
Pretty much equally impressive in a way.
93.
Ronnie O'Sullivan had a century of 123 in his first round demolition of Robbie Williams, and he had another against
97.
Martin Gould. This for his third of the week.
102.
And he's made it look easy.
Yeah, Robin, this is century number 1089 of his career. That's absolutely incredible. The only professional player to make over 1,000 centuries. But the break does finally end.
Ronnie O'Sullivan,
104 from Ronnie O'Sullivan.
And a
He betters Mark Williams' effort of 73 in frame 1. And it's Ronnie O'Sullivan who draws level here. It's 1-1.
Yeah, he last won it 5 years ago here in Wales, so he's looking to equal John Higgins's record of 5 Welsh Open wins. And you can sort of see, Ken, well, you know why he's got nearly 1,100 career centuries, don't you? He's so good at those clearances.
Yeah, I mean, that's where Ronnie is at his best. And that's what Mark Williams was talking about. He's not going to be able to outscore Ronnie tonight. And he's a bit unlucky, though, Mark Williams. I mean, have a look at this plant that he plays. He picks a plant out. He hits it 100 miles an hour. Now, the cue ball, but for kissing into those reds, could have been up near the blue. He could have been nicer on this blue. But he has to go for the blue because he's got a red over either bottom pocket. Now, if the blue goes in, you know, it could have been Mark Williams' century there. So he's a little bit unlucky, but wonderful plan. But when Ronnie O'Sullivan gets in around the pink and black, how he worked out that break beautifully to get on the pink when it was a little bit awkward. Black wasn't on its spot, but a wonderful break from Ronnie O'Sullivan. He's such a genius, and he sees the break and the way it can develop so quickly. He's very instinctive, and he scores so quickly that you know that's why he has so many big
Ronnie
breaks.
O'Sullivan.
I mean, 1,100. It's quite incredible.
Safe to say, I think now he's got the feel of the cloth. 1-1.
Well, they've both got their eye in. Williams in the first, O'Sullivan in the second. And the early signs are that this has the potential to become one of their classic confrontations. Let's hope so, Dominic.
Well, it's clear to see that Ronnie O'Sullivan has designs on winning this match. He's right up for this. As of course is Mark Williams. I'm sure our first finalist, Jordan Brown, will be tucked away in his hotel room enjoying our coverage here. Just wondering who he's going to be playing in tomorrow's final. He did mention in his interview they'd like to play Ronnie O'Sullivan. Not sure I would.
Well, I was checking out the stats after Jordan's win. He's never played a competitive match against Ronnie. He's played Mark Williams twice. Funnily enough, the second of those matches was last year's Welsh Open in the second round, which Mark Williams won 4 frames to 2. I think, to be honest, Jordan will just be absolutely over the moon that he's through to his maiden ranking event final. Worked so hard to get back on tour. Whoever he faces, he knows he's going to be up against one of the all-time greats.
Nicely played safety from Mark, and I think his safety play will need to be good tonight. If you leave long reds on for Ronnie O'Sullivan, where he can get his hand on the table, he won't miss many of them. He may even be able to tempt this red into the right corner. It wasn't far away. And that pink's causing Mark a little bit of a problem. Not easy to play a shot down this right hand side of the table, but Mark can just about flick off the red next to the pink. Had he not been able to do that, he'd have been in trouble. kiss on the bulk colour there to just deflect the cue ball over to the right slightly. Again, the pink is hiding most of that half of the table, but I just wonder if Mark can play a safety off the red just the right of the pink spot here. He's just got to avoid those reds that are by the black there, though. Doesn't like it. Oh, is he going to take this red on? Bold shot choice. You certainly need a bit of good fortune once those balls are missed. Definitely left Ronnie red on. The one to the right corner down the top cushion. But I don't think he's got a very good angle on it. Does he have one into the right centre? I mean, the red clean, so maybe that suggests he's going to be taking this red on.
Our referee tonight, by the way, is Paul Collier. Very proud Welshman. PC lives within walking distance of the Celtic Manor. And if you missed the match this afternoon, we had a Welsh referee for that one as well, John Pellew.
Just have a look at this shot. Ronnie plays this with topspin, but the cue ball here, when it cannons into the cushion rail, it skids right towards the cushion. You could see the expression on Ronnie's face there. He couldn't believe the slide of the cue ball from the cushion. And that's why he ended up with that tough black to knock in. But he did knock it in. And he's right in here in this third frame amongst the balls again.
Nine.
To be cueing the ball
15.
Worryingly well, Ronnie O'Sullivan. You can see the look in his eyes. I think he feels himself that
16.
he's in good touch.
I thought that when we watched him against Robbie Williams in his opening round match, there was just something about his demeanour around the table. He was alert, intense and focused. He just looked like he was up for it.
23.
He always wants to win, but there was just something in his demeanour that perhaps we haven't seen for a little while. I think he fancies it this week.
Just finished a little awkward
24.
there, Ronnie. He knew he couldn't avoid that red on the left-hand side cushion, but it's more important to stun through the gap of the others to leave himself some sort of a shot on the blue. But he's very cleverly developed that red. He just basically now needs to pot the blue. He knows he'll be on this next red. And now it's a lot easier for Ronnie to get onto the black if he wishes.
29. 30.
I can't help but think, you know, Ronnie loves
37.
playing Mark Williams. And I know Ronnie O'Sullivan has a great respect for Mark Williams' achievements within the sport.
38.
Who wouldn't respect them? And I think just Ronnie enjoys playing the other greats of the game. It's almost like he wants to impress them and show them just how good he is, and that he's still the kingpin.
And there certainly wouldn't be many that he respects
45.
more than Mark Williams.
$46.
First time they ever played a competitive match was the Welsh Open. The last 96 back in 1994. Ronnie won 5-1. Who would have thought then that they would go on to amass 59 ranking titles between them?
53.
27 of them Triple Crown triumphs, including 9 world titles and 6 Welsh Open victories. Quite some record
54.
between the two of them. But you know, all of a sudden, Dominic, it's over 20 minutes since Williams last potted a ball.
Yeah, and that doesn't help, does it?
59.
You're sat in your chair watching Ronnie O'Sullivan make big break after big break.
$60.
And Ronnie really does know all he needs to know in terms of the ball reaction, the speed of the cushions. He's judging these positional shots absolutely perfectly. I just wonder how much of that is down to the fact that he made that
65.
little 35 clearance at the end of frame 1. Did it help him in frame 2 when he made that terrific century of 102?
66. $71. $72.
Well, Mark Williams got out the blocks brilliantly. The really aggressive plant early in
77.
the second frame looked as though it was going to give him a big break-building opportunity. But he ended up tight on the blue.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 77 on the frame.
O'Sullivan has had successive breaks of 102 and 77, and all of a sudden he's 2-1 in front.
You don't sniff at 77, do you? That is Ronnie still looking in businessman-like sort of form mode, isn't he? Just like he really, as Rob was saying, he's really determined to win this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a look of determination, concentration, and once again, he plays some beautiful little shots in that break. And they don't look much, but they're very, very clever. Now, have a look at this situation here. So he's playing the red here. He knows he's running into the red on the side cushion. So what does he do? He plays it nice and gently to knock it over the middle pocket. Here's another delicate little cannon. He knows the red that's touching the pink is going into the other two reds. And just little shots like that he makes break building. They don't look much, but they're very delicately played and they keep the break going. Okay, he missed the red on 78, whatever, and it could have been another century, but he looks in imperious form, and when he gets in, he looks very concentrated, he looks very focused and very, very determined, you know. But it's a cracking match so far. One shot snooker, basically.
Absolutely, yeah. We were just talking there during that frame about how long you think Ronnie will go on for, because he always makes these noises, doesn't he, about, I've had enough of it, you know, I want to quit, I might retire, I might not, I might not. You know, realistically, how long do you think he'll go on for?
Well, I mean, you look, he's very, very fit. He looks after himself. He's the fittest player on the tour. He's very conscious about what he puts into his body. I think he could go on for another 5 years at least. I mean, he could play into his 50s if he wanted. And I'm sure Mark Williams could do the same. I know he has a different diet and a different fitness regime. A different fitness regime to Ronnie O'Sullivan. But I think Mark Williams could go play onto his 50. But certainly Ronnie O'Sullivan, because of how well he looks after himself. I mean, he talks about running, 40, 50 miles a week. He's very, very fit. He goes out running with some local runners here in Newport. And he does that everywhere he goes and every tournament that he plays in. He'll pick the local running club. He'll ring someone up, a contact that he's made. He'll go out running with them, and he does that diligently
frame.
at every
Mark
tournament
Williams
and every day.
That's what he would have been doing over the last 48 hours in between
Yeah.
these two matches.
yeah.
Mark Williams had his sausages,
Such
His
as
eggs.
pizza chips.
had his
But
tomato sauce.
Yeah.
2-1 then, O'Sullivan, let's go back.
Yeah, it's interesting, Ken, talking about the running. I don't know about you, Dominic, but I love running as well. I've been out with Ronnie a few times over the years. I think his success is inherently linked to whether he's running and whether he feels as though he's in good physical shape. I think with him especially, a healthy body is a healthy mind, and he looks about as lean as I can remember him for the last 4 or 5 years. I know he got into boxing a little bit. I think the running is of pivotal importance for him. He's running well at the moment, and it's not a coincidence that he's playing well.
No, I completely agree with you there, Rob. He's telling me the Championship League just about a week or 10 days ago that he's running really well and hasn't been as lean for quite some time. And I think, as far as Ron is concerned, I think he's at peace with himself when he goes out for these early morning runs at 6 a.m.
One.
That's Mark Williams' first pot. For quite some time. Fortunately, he didn't land on a colour. It's Mark Williams' diet. I wouldn't like to comment on it. It's not quite for me, I have to say.
Mark Williams, 1.
And it's pots like that that become more and more difficult when your opponent is putting you under pressure and scoring heavily from every chance that they have.
One.
Ronnie has choice of both blue and pink here. I think his decision will be based on whether the pink respots or whether it goes onto the black spot. You could just see the pink spot. It's very close to that red, so it will be certainly going onto the black spot here, and that's not a bad thing from Ronnie's point of
7.
view.
Eight.
Oh, he's really got into the cue ball there. It was a fabulous shot. Now, will he go into the pack of reds or play for the loose one? He's just played for the remaining loose red there at the bottom of the cluster. Just have a look at the backspin here. Screws past the
14.
pink. You'll see the check side on the cue ball, so it'll advance slightly up the table. Oh, he's controlled that very
15.
nicely, except he's just a touch hampered here. Now, if he can't cue to the centre of the cube, when he can't, he can only really pot the pink and let the cannon to the red below it just take care of itself. No guarantee he'll be on his next red here. No guarantee he'll pot the pink.
$21. 22.
What a shot that is. He's got the cue ball
Rob,
on the
I've
end
got
of a
to
piece
say-
of string at the moment.
Sorry, Rob. Yeah, I've just got to say that red is just knocked into the middle pocket. For me, has to be the best shot in the middle pockets that I've seen in
28.
this year's Welsh Open. The angle was so acute, and yet he played it with all that pace. I can't begin to tell you how good this red was. There's hardly any pocket opening there, and he's actually played it with that amount of pace. That was incredible.
29.
Yeah, that was absolutely brilliant. People occasionally say that he's not in the mood in certain matches. He
35.
absolutely is tonight.
$36. $42. $43.
Now, I wonder if Ronnie will play a cannon here into that little group of 6 reds. You can just catch the reds directly above the pink, rather than the little trio to the right. He'd be guaranteed to be on something to a centre pocket, I'd feel. Decided not to. He had a natural angle to play for this one into the right centre. Pink will have to go back onto the black spot again.
49.
I'm not sure what angle he's got on this red. He looks a little straight on it to me. He may have a bit of work to do here positionally. Wow, there's this cue ball going to finish. It won't be an off.
50.
My goodness, he'll have a devil's own job here to keep this break going after the colour. Doesn't need to take a colour on. I'm not sure Ronnie can get onto a red here. Powered the brown in. Just couldn't get around the angles. I don't see any plants anywhere. I think that's going to be end of break.
54.
I was surprised he didn't go into them a few shots earlier. Is he going to take this red on? Very, very risky. As you can see, 53 ahead, just a couple more reds required. But he's obviously feeling good.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 54.
Big mistake from Ronnie. Shorter pace with the cue ball, plus he's pushed a red into a possible position for Mark. Now Mark needs to start knocking these in. Yeah, it's just so difficult. When your opponent's putting you under this much pressure, that type of pot just becomes harder and harder to knock in.
He's not really had a huge amount of table time over the last 10 or 15 minutes. He's been outscored by more than 200 points at the moment. That lovely early break of 73 is beginning to feel like it was a little while ago.
Foul. Mark Williams, 4.
I think the red Rob that's on the pink spot may pot into this right corner, as does the one below it, which is the one he's decided to take on. That was the initial red that I suggested. And good pot. Now that's much better from Mark. Needs his cue ball to slow up though, and it's not.
1.
Mark will be disappointed. Will he still take the green on? No, he's running in behind it. But played it well.
Mark Williams 1.
Well, he will take some confidence from that lovely long red.
Foul and a miss. Mark Williams 4.
I don't think Mark believes Ronnie will play it poorly a second time. Is he taking this red on to the left centre? It would appear so. Oh, well played. And this time he is on the colour. But the position of the remaining 2 reds and the blue are very awkward for Mark. So a lot of work to do here to get back into this 4th frame before the mid-session interval.
Three.
Now, bearing in
4.
mind how dominant Ronnie's been for the last couple of frames, Dominic, this is quite an important little visit for Mark Williams, even though we're only in the 4th frame.
Yeah, now the pink goes back onto its own spot.
10.
It's not great for Mark because he's straightish on this red, as you can see. Had to power it in. I don't think this is going to finish
11.
too well for Mark. If he plays the pink to the green pocket, he can stun him behind the 2 reds. Oh, well played. The cue ball's just about got there. You can pop the red into the green pocket. It's very tricky
17.
though. If he wants to be really, really positive, he could bring the other red above it into play. No. Now has he left the red?
Mark
Will he
Williams
just
17.
drop that red into the left centre?
One.
Just the pink and the red required for O'Sullivan to take a handsome lead into the mid-session interval. That little breaker 17 from Mark Williams looked like it had just begun to get him back into this frame.
7.
This red will leave the Welshman requiring snookers.
Yeah, it's a tricky red. That green was causing Ronnie a bit of a problem there. Had to avoid it. He's considering not taking this red on. Certainly giving his opponent some respect. Problem is though, Ronnie O'Sullivan has a lead of 34 points. There are 35 remaining.
O'Sullivan 7.
But look where that black is. Mark Williams needs it to win the frame by a single point. Well, that was an attempt at a pot, I can assure you. Played in a typical Mark Williams fashion. Just trundling it in, virtually pocket weight. But it's developed the blue and made Ronnie O'Sullivan's safety rather tricky.
Yeah, he's over 45 seconds at the moment. Not very often Ronnie O'Sullivan has to ponder his options for this long.
I think he's worried, Rob, that if he plays the red he'd like to play and just misjudges it a fraction, he could pot the blue. So just tapping the red towards the blue. I think in the end that's probably the right thing to do from his point of view. There's not a lot Mark Williams can do here, but he may be able to snooker Ronnie if he plays it well. Oh, where's the red going? This red needs to stop. Oh, he's alright. Little dangerous. Now another thing here in the course of playing this safety, Ronnie will not want to develop that black for Mark Williams. There's a danger he could do. Dreaded double kiss. Now can Mark snick this red in? If he can, it's certainly possible he could get onto the black. It looks eminently cuttable. I'm sure on your TV screens, but in actuality it may be a lot thinner than it may appear. He's a clever player though, you know, Mark Williams. I bet it's even crossed his mind to double it using the blue as a big pocket.
Now it's his turn to take nearly a minute over the shot. He's not sure about this.
Well, if he doesn't think he can cut it in, surely the shot is to stun the cube in behind the black, leave the red somewhere near the blue. See, he did try to double the red, but you can see he's left everything on here, and that will be 3-1. O'Sullivan at the mid-session interval.
One.
Only needed that red to force Mark Williams to pursue snookers, but he won't be coming back to the table in this frame.
Five.
Well, after a very,
Seven.
very positive start to the match, with an excellent visit of 73, fueled on a diet of sausage, egg and chips, Mark
10.
Williams has been a little bit of a passenger in frames 2, 3 and 4. Ronnie O'Sullivan has got his eye in on this table and done so very effectively.
14.
His 10th Welsh Open semi-final, and he would love an opportunity to
Ronnie
tie with
O'Sullivan,
John
14
Higgins
and
as a
frame.
5-time Welsh Open champion. Willow walks off first. Ronnie O'Sullivan will be very happy with the way the scoreline looks at the moment. He's good value for a 3-1 lead at the mid-sesh.
Ken, we're going to talk through the best shots, the best bit so far.
I mean, this was a marvellous start for Mark Williams. Couldn't have wished for a better start. That was probably the highlight pot. And just look at the reds from that wonderful shot. He was very unlucky in the second frame. He made a great plant. He had to go for this blue. There was a lot of pressure on because of the table that he was leaving. Just wobbled. And of course, this was Ronnie's century. Beautiful century. Great control of the cue ball. And Ronnie makes a 1089th century. This is one of the shots in the next frame. A delicate little shot. He's purposely knocking the red off the side cushion just to bring it into play. So when he drops the blue in, it's there waiting for him. And once again, Ronnie's shown his touch and class when break building and his great sort of foresight.
And we see that shot at the pink with the bridge, and I think we see what Dominic said was the shot of the tournament so far coming up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is just ridiculous, even to just take it on. But at the pace he plays it here into the middle, look how acute that angle is. And I mean, these middle pockets, they're so tight. They're tighter than Stephen Hendry's pockets, you know, so very, very difficult at that pace.
He'll love that. What can we expect then now, do you think?
Well, I think Mark Williams, first chance he gets, he's got to score. He's got to put his opponent under a bit of pressure. He's been sat in his chair for 3 frames, and that's because of the brilliance of Ronnie O'Sullivan. So if he gets a chance, he's got to really score, just like he did in the first frame, and try and, as I said, exert a little bit of pressure on Ronnie O'Sullivan.
I'm sure thousands of snooker fans across Wales might not be in the arena, but you can almost hear them in living rooms across the country shouting, "Come on, Mark." Let's see if he is on for a comeback as we rejoin Dominic Dale and Rob Walker.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks, Ken. There certainly will be plenty of people glued to their TVs. Not just in Wales. All across Britain. And there'll be plenty watching across Europe as well. And that is exactly the start Mark Williams needed. That's more like it from the 3-time world champion.
Certainly is. Question I was asking myself, do any of the reds next to the black pot? Well, they certainly don't now. I think Mark there was hoping
6.
that somehow that black would be freed, and as you can see, both black and pink are tied up now. Oh, and you can see in that picture there, you can't get through to the red over the pocket. You should be able to plant this one onto it though. Stun up for the blue without any difficulty. Oh, the red's covering
7.
the blue. Well, Mark may feel that's just a little careless to allow that to happen. I don't know. He's looking to see if the pink somehow sneaks through. Chances are Mark deliberately played that cannon to bring that red into play. That pink's tight. You'd want to be right in behind it. Yeah, I didn't think he'd be playing it. I have to say, it's a little bit unfortunate for Mark that he wasn't on the blue. As soon as he wasn't on that blue, it was always going to be tricky to keep the break
Williams,
going.
7.
But ditto here. Ronnie O'Sullivan, black and pink tied up. He has the problem with those balls now. Would love to be able to leave himself an angle on the blue, just
6.
to play delicate cannon into those 3 reds and the black.
Seven.
That was called a soft screw. Maximum backspin on the cue ball without playing the shot with too much pace. Got the required side of the blue there. It was a good shot.
12. $13.
I don't know how some of these balls go in. I really don't. Not at that pace.
Curious looking table this, Dominic, with brown, pink and black all tied up.
Yeah, Ronnie's very cleverly removed a couple of reds that were
90.
just above that little trio of reds and the black, just to make the cannon into them much, much easier. Now, if he can just stun into them here, he should be on a choice of reds to the left corner. So he's developed the black. I don't think you'll mind too much that it's finished along the top cushion. It's an easy enough ball to
24.
roll in. But his next task, I think, will be to play for the red that's nearest the black spot. So that when he does pot the black, it won't be
25.
tied up. Just overrun that slightly.
$30.
Well, this is a bit awkward for Ronnie. Very straight on this red. Cued across it.
31.
Back straight into another red. And of course, pots the red way onto the left-hand side jaw. Ah, he's taking this blue on.
Foul.
Wow, what did he foul there? The red or the black?
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 31. Mark Williams, 7.
The black, he fouled the black. Well, just look where he's
Right,
put
is
the
that
blue.
one?
Oh, what was referee Paul Collier pointing to there on the brown?
That was just a clarification for Mark. Which ball was brown, with Mark being colourblind. That's perfectly within the rules, just so that Mark can make a mental note which ball to avoid.
Yes, of course it was, yes. Sometimes you forget that Mark's colourblind.
It makes his achievements all the more impressive, doesn't
One.
it?
But if you are colourblind, you're perfectly entitled to ask the referee which colour is which. And according to the rules, they must answer that query.
Three.
This is a big frame for Mark Williams because he's relinquished the momentum. In frames 2, 3 and 4, ever since that aggressive plant left him the awkward blue, which he then missed, it's been all one-way traffic for Ronnie O'Sullivan. But if he could nick this one, the first frame after the mid-session, it is very definitely match on.
Just cannot possibly see Mark get onto a colour from this red here. Terrible angle on it, having to play it with a rest, so won't be able to play it with a great deal of power. It does go onto a colour here. I think it'll be more by luck than judgment.
Four.
It was just too much to ask, really, I suppose. And when you do desperately need to win a frame to get
Pink
back
ball.
into a match, you don't want this type of a frame where colours and reds are awfully positioned.
Mark Williams, 4.
Not the best safety from Mark. One, he's left a pot onto the left corner, and two, he may have left a cross double on the red near the right side cushion.
One.
That was brilliantly done by Mark Williams.
Yeah, it was very casually knocked in, wasn't it, Rob? Problem is, he's on the black. If he pots it and it goes back onto its spot, it'll block the simple red to the left corner. Lovely shot, it really was, and you can see when he'd left, he'd have missed the red. Now is this black in? Oh, it's not quite in. And he's left a
Mark
red
Williams
on for
won.
Ronnie. It wasn't an easy black, it has to be said. He played for the red along the top cushion towards the left corner. He didn't play for the one that's nearest the black spot because it wouldn't have gone if that black went in. Ooh, mistake from Ronnie. It's amazing what these intervals do. They really do ruin matches sometimes. It's a real momentum buster.
Yeah, you suspect the way that Ronnie was playing before the mid-session, had the match carried on, he may have made short work of the remaining required frames. Well, from a neutral's point of view, we'd love to see this turning into a really dramatic match. Both players slugging it out. But you get the feeling for that to be the case. Mark Williams needs to get another one on the board quite soon.
Wow, that's another mistake from Ronnie. I just wonder if Mark can power this in and just try and develop those two reds a little. Oh, the double kiss hasn't helped him. So even if he pots this black, just can't see him getting onto a red. Oh, that's a very, very good try.
Eight. Mark Williams, 8.
I'm sure we'll be in for some very canny tactical play now from both players. Very little in the frame, just a 4 points separating the two players in favour of Ronnie, that is. He's 4 points ahead. Cleverly hiding the red in bulk. This could go on for quite some time. I just wonder if Ronnie can see enough of the red near the side cushion to try and double it. Well, this is an interesting passage of play, isn't it? At least all three reds now are grouped together. got to be very careful. It's so easy to be inveigled into playing something just a little bit too extravagant that risks knocking in a ball that's over the pocket, in this case the brown.
Well, we said at the beginning of the night we'd be watching two of the all-time greats, and we are. We didn't promise it would all be blockbusting big breaks. Who's going to be the first to flinch in this fascinating exchange?
Wow, what a shot from Ronnie that was. I don't think he intended it to be quite that good. Ronnie would love to play this red just above the blue. He needs to be a little careful. Well played, he's blocked off the edge of the reds to the right, so there's no way Mark can do much with this.
What an intriguing couple of minutes in this match.
Well, Mark just left a little space there between the red and the blue for Ronnie to just leave some distance between them all. Could be disastrous. That cue ball deviated quite significantly. Now Ronnie can play the cue ball into bulk. Cleverly push the blue safe as well. It's from about here where you can tend to just try to do too much. Get a little bit of extra space between the balls and accidentally knock in the brown. Mark may be able to try and snooker Ronnie in behind the black here, I don't know. Yeah, he tried to. Longest frame of the match, Robin. I'd suggest if you fancy a cup of tea, now's the time to put the kettle on.
Yes, not a surprising statistic, is it, the way the reds are spread? And the way the brown is blocking that pocket. But what's so interesting about this exchange is the speed with which each of them are making their decisions. The fact their faces are an absolute picture of concentration.
Just wondering, Rob, if Mark's made a mistake there. Don't know if this red will cut in. The one that's nearest the black. If it does, could Ronnie pop the brown afterwards? Well, in goes the red. And if he's on the brown, Ronnie will be delighted. He is. That pots. Oh, this has worked out well for Ronnie. Cue ball's in bulk, yes, but red's a certainty. And if he plays it very delicately, he could leave himself on the pink.
Six.
Ronnie will be happy that the blue's tied up, but he is going to need the tricky yellow. Just having a look at the scores, he's 17 points ahead, so red-black would be 25. And the good thing from Ronnie's point of view, he can leave himself as straight as possible on this yellow. He doesn't need to worry at all about position to green. Oh, this is looking pretty good. But even so, this yellow can still be missed.
21. $23.
And how key will this frame turn out to be?
26.
The door was ajar for Mark Williams. Possible opportunity to reduce his deficit to 1. As it is, Ronnie O'Sullivan has won his 4th frame in succession.
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Doesn't matter about the blue, there's a nod from Mark Williams. Ronnie O'Sullivan takes a curious frame after the mid-session interval. He's now 2 away from the final. Mark Williams has it all to do, trailing 4-1.
Yeah, looking good for Ronnie, isn't it? The curious sort of curse of the mid-session interval, stopping that momentum in a way, and then we had that big Mexican standoff there.
yeah. Bit of cat and mouse, and a little bit surprised though with Mark Williams. Just lost his concentration there because he's just playing sort of trying to hit the quarter ball and trying to push the red towards the right cushion. But look at what he does.
Leaves it on.
He leaves the red on, and what Ronnie does here, he can pot the red, and he's just got enough of the brown. But he's played a really good shot here. He's cut the red in. He purposely has to get over to the right-hand side of the table to be able to pot the brown. Anywhere on the left-hand side, he can't see the brown, but look at where he left the cue ball and went on to win the frame from a position that looked almost impossible. But it was just Mark Williams' concentration there. Should have been making sure that that red was on the side cushion and he couldn't possibly lose the frame from that position. And in a flash and an instant, the frame is over, and now he's got to win 5 of the next 6 frames to have a chance of staying in this tournament. So it was a huge frame for Mark Williams, and just cost him that little shot.
We were here earlier on, I remember, with Brown leading Maguire by 4 shots to 1, and you thought then, it's a long shot. You know, it's not insurmountable.
No.
Comebacks can happen.
Oh, yeah.
But?
No, I mean, absolutely. He's not out of this tournament by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, if anybody could turn it around, it could certainly be Mark Williams. But he's just... the problem for Mark Williams is that Ronnie has been so sharp. He's been very, very good in every department of the game so far. And it's very hard to get that momentum going again. And it's just... it started off very well for him, but he's just been kept very, very cold. But you've got to, when you are kept cold, you've got to try and keep your concentration 100%, even on the simple shots.
Massive frame then. Massive frame for Mark Williams. If he doesn't win this one, you sense his hopes of winning the Welsh Open might just be slipping
Frame
away.
6. Mark Williams to break.
Well, the most decorated left-handed snooker player in history is under real pressure here. He started so positively, Mark Williams. But it's all been Ronnie O'Sullivan since frame 2. Can Willow halt the momentum of a man who seems absolutely intent on a 6th Welsh Open final?
I'll just have a look at the judgment of pace there from that safety shot from Ronnie O'Sullivan. And he's put that red near the left-hand side cushion, which makes the safety shot off the left-hand edge of the pack very risky, and that's why Mark elected to
Foul.
trundle
And a
into the
miss.
pack on the right-hand
Ronnie
side.
O'Sullivan 4.
Left it short of pace though.
Dominic, I just wonder how different the middle part of this match would have panned out if Mark had ended up nicely placed on a colour after that really aggressive plant that he potted right at the start of the second frame, having taken the first at 73, because I think if he hadn't been so unlucky with the reds as spread as well as they were, I think he might well have had a 2-frame advantage. Then the dynamic of the match would have been completely different.
Yeah, it's a very good point you make. And you're absolutely right. We're watching some classic safety here from both players. Great safety from Mark Williams. Has he hidden the edge with the green? Oh, I think Ronnie can just get through to the faintest edge of this right-hand red that's just sticking out there. That could have made such a difference. A lovely little flick off the brown from Ronnie's point of view. Cue ball now so tight to the baulk cushion. Can only really play these plain ball. Beautifully struck again from Mark. That's a great shot. Worthy of a round of applause. Haven't heard many tonight. Well played cue ball, but unfortunately Reds have finished over both left and right corner. But the problem is, Mark Williams 4-1 down, under all kinds of pressure. Neither of these Reds are particularly easy, but I feel he's going to have to take one of them on. He can't leave them there.
The trouble is, Dominic, he's potted quite a few of these long reds, but he's missed a few as well. 7 out of 13. Big moment, this. Just not quite clicking at the moment for Mark Williams.
One.
Didn't have a very favourable angle on the red. Ronnie has a bit of a problem of his own here. Looking to see if he can leave the cue ball near the jaws of the green pocket, because even though he'll leave a red on for Mark Williams into the right hand corner, the cue ball will be immediately travelling into all those reds. That's what Ronnie's very good at. He does this a lot. Sometimes if he doesn't feel he can stop you from having a go at something, he makes sure he leaves you the worst possible angle on them.
Ronnie O'Sullivan 1.
Pot was on for Ronnie, he took it on. I'll tell you what, he'll like where this cue ball's going to finish. Or will he? Can Mark get past the brown? He can, well would you believe it. But even with the angle he has on the red here, the cue ball will still be travelling into other balls. Can he find that little gap there in the middle of all the reds? Oh, he could. Well played. That was a really good shot from Mark.
1.
And he hasn't finished too badly on the blue. Not perfect though by any means.
Six. 7.
Well, he potted excellent long reds in the final frame before the mid-session, and the first one after the mid-session, but ran out of position and lost both of those frames. Is this going to be
12.
different this time?
Well, if that pink pot's to the right corner, Mark's got a good chance here.
13.
Could have done with that cue ball just running on another couple of inches.
$19.
Oh dear. Just a
Mark Williams,
slight loss of
19.
concentration there. Maybe he was just thinking of the chance that he had here to reduce the deficit in this match. He just didn't keep his mind in the present. Who knows? Maybe he had too much eye on the positional aspects of the shot. But either way, can you afford that type of mistake at this stage of the match?
One.
And his reaction showed you how costly he knew that may be.
Seven.
Ever more lugubrious.
8.
Tell you what, Dominic, we've got so used to watching Ronnie O'Sullivan over the last 20 or 30 years.
11.
It's easy to get a little bit blasé and forget about just how incredible his longevity is. His first ranking title in 1993, and here he is 28 years later, giving himself here a fantastic opportunity
17.
to perhaps seal a 38th major ranking crown at the age of 45. It's an amazing record, which could just
18.
keep on getting better.
Yeah, another point worth mentioning. At the age of 45, many people require glasses to play snooker and perform other tasks in life. But Ronnie, like quite a few of us, I suppose. I'm 49, I don't need to wear glasses yet, but neither does Ronnie. I think Ronnie, if he wanted to play another 10 years, could easily do so. Such is his talent.
24. $25.
Just wondering if the two reds near the black spot are a plant to this left corner. Ronnie's just had a look at them. They don't seem far away. Oh, that previous camera shot. I think they are just set to the bottom jaw, but yes, you can see there. But they could be
31.
made if Ronnie felt he had no option. Oh, he's overscrewed this. He's ended up on the bolt cushion. I don't think I've ever seen Ronnie
32.
overscrew the ball like that before. Amazing.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 32.
Let's have another look at this red that Ronnie's just played. Ah, right. I think, looking at that angle, he's trying to screw there into the other red, yes. He didn't really overscrew it at all. He was trying to develop the other red near the right side cushion and just ran past it. mentioning, Mark Williams has still only made that one break over 30 this evening, and that was that break of 73 in frame 1. Ronnie O'Sullivan has made breaks of, well, 32 in this frame. He's made 35, 102, 77, 54. And in that rather scrappy affair, the previous frame, he breaks of 31 and 30, so won that quite convincingly too.
And that's exactly why he's outscoring Mark Williams by around about 250 points in this match so far. You would think, Dominic, this is an absolute must-win frame for Mark Williams if he's to stand any chance of mounting a monumental comeback against his fellow class member from 92.
Absolutely so. Yeah. Both players averaging 19 seconds a shot. Ronnie O'Sullivan's pot success is at 92%. Mark Williams is down at 78. But it doesn't seem as though Mark's playing that badly. This was a much needed long red from Mark, but he's got a very tricky pink here, because he won't be playing it with a great deal of pace. And he's hampered, as you can see, so that makes this pot rather tricky, and it needs to go in. Wow, that's an excellent pot from Mark, it really was. This frame could have quickly disappeared
7.
had that not gone in.
8.
So just 10 points behind. 2 easy reds remain, but you'll have a problem with that one on the bolt cushion.
$14. $15.
This is their 4th match, by the way, in the Welsh Open. I mentioned that their first professional encounter was in the round of the last 96, back in 1994. Mark Williams beat Ronnie in the semi-finals in 1999 en route to his 2nd Welsh Open title.
21.
And then Ronnie won their only encounter since. It was the last 16 match in 2012.
Mark Williams, 21.
And he's left Ronnie a chance here on this red. Are the Welshman's hopes beginning to drain away here?
Mark's mistake wasn't really with the missed pot on the red, it was the position on the pink before. He couldn't get close to it. It wasn't far away, it was a very tricky pot. So just a couple of points between the players here as they approach the difficult red that's in bulk. Ronnie won't be on it here, but he can play very, very good safety. Don't think Ronnie's going to risk this red along the bolt cushion, is he? No, but you can see, even playing the shot left-handed,
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 7.
displayed a beautiful touch. He's left the red on for Ronnie, but all hope isn't lost, because Ronnie will certainly need that tricky brown.
7. Nine.
So just the brown.
12.
Going for the double, this to leave Mark Williams needing snookers.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 12.
The Welshman just about still in touch here in frame 6. So close. Second attempt at frame ball.
Four.
And the mountain just got a little harder to climb for Mark Williams.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 4.
Definitely worth coming back to the table though. Only one snooker required. No way Mark Williams was going to concede at this stage of the match.
What a miss with the black tight to his own cushion there. He's only got the pink to snooker in behind, and I've got to say, that was a great shot he's played. Pretty easy swerve though. You can just see, you can see how dangerous these shots are. I mean, Ronnie played that at a very quiet pace, but even so, that cue ball dangerously close to the centre pocket.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 5 and the front.
Oh, Ronnie heads off. Beautifully done. He's now 1 away from the Welsh Open final. This is a huge task, even for a man of the calibre of Mark Williams.
Yeah, that's the magic of Ronnie O'Sullivan chronologically, isn't it? Over the years, just fantastic, Ken.
Incredible.
And as a viewer, there are so many times where you look at it and you think, how is he going to get onto the colour he needs to get onto in a particular frame? And we're going to see an excellent example of how he manages to do it.
Yeah, I mean, just here's just one positional shot. Hammer in the pink, full force, using 4 cushions to try and get on the yellow, and absolutely perfect. I mean, he's played an array of great shots throughout this semi-final, but his positional play and his break building, of course, but his positional play at times, and even like keeping the pressure on his opponent, the safety, he's given it every sort of concentration, and he's just been too good tonight, you know, in every element of the game.
Any hope for Mark Williams?
There's always hope. There's always hope. You never throw in the towel, and Mark Williams won't do that. You know, he's still trying hard out there, but it's just proven very, very difficult. Every shot that he plays now, there'll be pressure on it, and that's tough to play against.
So can the Welsh hero mount some kind of response here on home soil? He was absolutely delighted when the news came through that this tournament would take place in Wales. Up until now, everything has been at Milton Keynes. And I know he feels quite passionately that he wanted to do something special this week in memory of the late, great Doug Mountjoy. 25 years after his first ranking title, which was the Welsh. All the omens and the signs were there. But Ronnie O'Sullivan has just been too good tonight. And unfortunately, Mark Williams has just made too many mistakes. And the legendary long pots have been interspersed with plenty of misses. And you just can't afford to do that against O'Sullivan in this kind of mood.
O'Sullivan has won every single one of the frames that have gone a bit tight, the frames that you might feel would suit Mark Williams.
14.
On to Ronnie as well, because no doubt about it, he's one of the game's finest tacticians also. But he's been very focused and determined this evening, Ronnie O'Sullivan. And now he's just a frame away from victory and a place in tomorrow's final, where he'll be playing Antrim's Jordan Brown. And if he's still watching the semi-final here. Red looked like it was trying to turn up a little there, but it went in. I'm sure Mark Williams may feel, and he's played his final shots here in this 2021 Bet Victor Welsh Open. I wonder if he feels he'll be getting back to the
21.
table. With that red near the right corner, if Ronnie wanted to, he could even screw into the pack of reds again here, develop a few more. You'll feel he's guaranteed to be on it, and nobody plays these shots better than Ronnie. He's got a choice of 2 reds here, and he's developed all the other ones to perfection. Looking ominous for Mark Williams, Rob.
30.
Yes, I think he probably will feel, barring an unforced error, he's played his last part in this semi-final. His first in the Welsh Open for 6 years.
37.
It started so promisingly with that break of 73. But he hasn't got
38.
near the table since, really. Too many unforced errors. Pot success of 77%. And Mark Williams is a man who sets himself very high standards, and he'll be disappointed with that. From Ronnie O'Sullivan's perspective, it's an opportunity
45.
to tie John Higgins as the most decorated Welsh Open player in history. John's on 5 titles. Ronnie's 4 crowns, coming back-to-back 2004 and 2005. And then 2014 and 2016. The only one he lost was Mark Selby's first ranking title, when he came from 8-5 down against O'Sullivan to take a decider back in 2008. One thing is for certain, every
46.
Welsh Open final in which Ronnie O'Sullivan has played has had drama one way or the other. He came from 8-5 down to beat Davis in a decider in his first, 7-5 down to beat Hendry for his second. He finished a comprehensive victory over Ding with a 1-4-7. And then for his fourth title, 5 years ago, he came from 4-2 down against Neil Robertson. Another absolutely superb left-hander. So whenever he's made the final, it's always been dramatic. Will that be the case again tomorrow?
51.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to the final tomorrow. It's very rare these days you get a very low-ranked player get into the final, but Jordan Brown has more than justified his position in tomorrow's final. He's played some great snooker this week, and particularly today in his comprehensive 6-1 victory. over Steve Maguire, who'd been playing some really good snooker himself.
58.
Well, Jordan Brown alluded to the fact that he quite fancied taking on Ronnie O'Sullivan in this big final.
65.
The Northern Irishman who 5 years ago was working in a petrol station.
66.
What a task facing him, because Ronnie O'Sullivan is a couple of balls away from having only conceded 2 frames en route to the final. He is in imperious form, and the 33-year-old Northern Irishman is going to need to produce his absolute best tomorrow to stand any chance
69.
against the reigning world champion. Well, he'll definitely come back to the table. Only 1 snooker required. No way Mark Williams would walk away from the table in this situation. He'll have a go. But this has just been too good from O'Sullivan. From the start of the second frame, Mark Williams hasn't had a look in.
Yes, I'd describe Ronnie O'Sullivan's performance as very, very competent.
Well, he's had a few really good long reds, but for much of the match he hasn't been able to follow them up. There are some positives to take from this match for the Welshman. His victory over Tom Ford yesterday means that he will be competing in the Players' Championship next week in Milton Keynes.
Seven.
He's hanging on by his fingertips
8.
in this match. Can he show a little bit of Celtic character here?
Because he potted the pink from his opening
14.
long red. He can tie now with 1 snooker, so Mark's task here will be to pot 2 of the remaining 3 reds.
15.
High value colours, blacks preferably. But if he can just leave 1 of those 2 reds remaining near the pink, he's guaranteed, you'd think, to be able to leave a very telling snooker for Ronnie O'Sullivan to try to escape from.
22.
Needs his cue ball to
23.
run. Ah, that's a problem for Mark. So he can't leave the cue ball below this remaining red. Not straight enough on the black, so he'll have to change his plans here. because he needs one snooker to tie, he may decide now
30.
to pot this last red with the black. No, he has left the snooker. It's not a bad one, but I don't think it will trouble Ronnie O'Sullivan.
30.
Oh, look where that's finished. Severely hampered over the brown. And the problem is with this shot, Rob, Ronnie could just try and drop that red. Well, actually, he's played it well. I thought he was going to cannon the red full ball, and then Ronnie could just trundle it over the green pocket. Maybe Ronnie will now try and play the red over the green pocket delicately. Try and force Mark Williams to pot the red and try to get onto the black. Every player judges these situations differently. No real right or wrong thing to do. Well, that's a bit of a mistake from Ronnie. There's a half chance here for Mark to get a snooker. Or has he caught the red too thickly? I think he has. Well, if Mark can come off this top cushion, although he may be able to get through to the red if he can see it full ball. Oh, he can't. Can't quite see it full ball. He'd been able to stun him behind the black had he been able to do so. In this frame, the match is still alive.
All credit to the Welshman. Determined to make Ronnie O'Sullivan earn the last frame required to return in tomorrow's big final. Fascinating at times, but not the fireworks we were hoping for between these two long-term rivals.
get through to the potting angle here of this remaining red to wrap up this match finally.
And that will be that. There's the elbow tap. A great start from Mark Williams. From then on, Ronnie O'Sullivan was just too good, and the reigning world champion will be coming back tomorrow for a 6th Welsh Open final, where he'll start as overwhelming favourite for ranking title number 38. That was clinical from the Rocket. He'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, it is indeed a 6th Welsh Open final for Ronnie. He's been runner-up once before, he's won it 4 times, and so he has a chance to equal John Higgins' all-time record of 5 Welsh wins. As for Mark Williams, Ken, well, his wait for a 3rd win goes on. That'll stretch beyond 21 years. But Ronnie tonight, just in excellent form, wasn't he?
Yeah, excellent form. I mean, Mark Williams started off fantastic, and that second frame, I think, was quite pivotal as the matches turned out. But Ronnie O'Sullivan, overall, once he got into his stride, he was very, very dominant, scored very well, played really good safety. And as I said, every facet of his game was like really, really good. And I'm sure he'd be very, very pleased with his performance tonight, because these guys have had such a great history against each other for almost 30 years. So, yeah, it wasn't what we sort of built it up to, but I'm sure Ronnie would be very pleased overall with his performance.
Let's find out. Standing by to talk to us, he's come straight out of the arena to give us his reaction. Ronnie, well done, into a final again. How did that feel? You look very sharp out there.
Yeah, no, I knew I had to play well, you know, just knew I had to, you know. I've been playing pretty decent all week, so, yeah, I felt like I was queuing okay. But like I heard what Ken said, but, you know, you can only play as well as your opponent plays you sometimes, and I couldn't push the boat out, because if I did, then obviously I'd have got punished heavily. I knew that, so sometimes you have to kind of just, you know, it was tough match play that, so, you know, I was really pleased with that performance, you know.
Yeah, you look very sharp, Ronnie. I know you've been practicing a little bit with Martin Gould, and you can certainly see it in your game, because every facet of your game, even when you were playing good safety, you were putting a lot of concentration in. You're very focused.
No, I've just changed my grip. You know, I went back to how I was playing. You know, from 2011 to 2018. I've just changed my grip, and I'm not hitting as many bolt colours on my safeties. I'm getting a better throw on it, better pace. Feel like I can, you know, keep the white ball a bit closer to the object balls when, you know, the next ball when I'm in break building. Doesn't feel as comfortable, but, you know, I'm not making as many mistakes, you know. So and I feel like when I'm playing well, I'm playing very, very well instead of playing okay, you know. So you need to do that these days to win tournaments, and I still want to win tournaments, you know. I know. So I'm here to enjoy it, and I am, you know. Even if I lost tonight, I'd have still had a great week and enjoyed the match. But you know, it's better winning than losing. So you know, you always got to try keep, you know, tweaking things all the time, you know.
And Ronnie, look, you've got a chance to equal John Higgins' record. He's won it 5 times. You could now equal that. I don't know if you were out running earlier on, possibly, but did you see the Jordan Brown win over Stephen Maguire? And what do you make of that tomorrow?
I didn't see much of it, no, but, you know, Jordan's a good QS. He hits the ball really well. He's been gaining experience all the time on the tour, you know. This isn't no freak result, you know. He was bound to get to the latter stage at some point. You know, I know Stephen gave him a bit of help today, but he still had to do the business and pot the balls. You know, he's got a great temperament, great match player, strokes the ball in very nicely. You know, he's got a good technique. So, you know, it's a tough game.
Thank you very much, Ronnie. Well done tonight.
Ciao.
See you in the final. Ciao.